Avengers versus X-Men. Yeah.
And we can just kind of recap the conversation we had earlier, actually, about this cover in particular. Wolverine fighting Captain America, which
to some people didn't really seem to make a lot of sense. Because
in some ways, well, it is Avengers versus X-Men, and Wolverine is one of the characters we associate. We associate Wolverine with the X-Men pretty heavily. I mean, with the way that this has been written so far, he clearly had sided with the Avengers, and that made a lot of sense, given his background, given what his
background, and considering Schism and Regenesis.
Yeah. So it made a lot of sense that he decided to take the side that he did, and we were wondering, like, did they just change him to the X-Men side because we consider him an X-Men? That's very nice and nostalgic, but that doesn't make a lot of plot sense.
Yeah.
But no, they actually did take the sensible decision here.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like giving spoilers because anybody who is reading this knows what we're talking about, more or less.
But I think part of that too was with Brubaker. I can kind of trust him.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing, and that's the big thing when you look at the names who are taking on all these AvX titles. I haven't felt cheated by a single one yet.
Yeah.
There's been nothing that feels cheap. Everything feels like it adds something. I'm learning something new about the characters each time. The characters are growing each time. Something important happens each time.
Whether it's in Avengers versus X-Men, AvX, or the myriad amounts of tie-in titles, you feel like you're getting something.
Yeah.
Although, what I've noticed, and this isn't to say that they are bad, but it's kind of interesting with AvX. That's where all the battles are. Avengers versus X-Men. That's where kind of the big overall story plot goes on, and then the tie-ins is a lot of the inner working development type within the different factions and groups, which I think is a smart idea. It's not fun on my wallet, but
no, it hurts.
It's nice that you don't have to get this giant loaded, bogged down everything and try to fit everything within one comic.
But it also allows them to really put in content and really actually. And a lot of times I really do criticize this with tie-ins and crossovers, but in this case, because of the people involved in how seriously they are taking it, it feels legit and it feels worth my money. A lot of my money, but worth my money.
Well, it seems like this is kind of the season of events right now.
Yeah, and I'm not going to follow them all.
Yeah. The other big one, and I know you don't follow either of the titles, so I'm pretty much talking to myself here, is the Animal Man Swamp Thing red and green versus the Rod.
I don't follow them because I don't want to. I don't follow them because I didn't get in quick enough and I can't get issue 1. But
yeah, and Animal Man is collected as of now when we're recording this, which is nice, and the fact that it's at such a low price that people who want to read it can get into it. And I think Swamp Thing's coming out here in the next couple weeks too. But it's that is another one that I can really see working, but it's also taken the subtle approach to crossover tie-in books, in the sense that they're their own independent stories, and yet because of who the main villain is, they're actually running parallel with each other and not realizing it. Only briefly, now that we're getting into where the event is going to start, now mentioning at the end, oh, well, there's this Alec Holland guy who's the Swamp Thing, and we may need his help. What do you think, Buddy Baker? And he's like, okay. So only now are we seeing it, but they're still running cross within each other, which I think is also a really good approach to doing that. So you don't have to feel like, well, I have to read everything to pick it up. The Justice League Dark Eye Vampire one, the Rise of the Vampire one that just ended. That was really good because it set up the entire ongoing for the rest of the series, however long either one of them goes. My only complaint is that they seem like they threw Batman in there for no reason. And I understand it's in Gotham, so of course if a vampire zombie army was going to take over Gotham,
Batman would notice.
You probably assume that Batman would notice. But it does sort of, to me at least, kind of come off as, oh hey, we're in Gotham, we probably should include Batman because we need to, because it'll sell.
I liked seeing Batman.
Oh no, I have nothing against.
And one of the things actually that was interesting, and I haven't followed the event all the way to its conclusion because I don't even know why I stopped picking up Batman. I think it was because there was another event. I'm like, I don't have time.
I mean, the event itself was good. My only complaint was the fact that there's a character here and he's in all of 3 pages.
Well, the thing about Batman, at least when the thing started, when Batman first showed up in I, Vampire, I thought it was interesting because he was still, despite being crusty old Batman, he's pretty consistently takes the no killing line, and everybody's just screaming like, they're vampires. They're already dead. And they're just going to replicate. You just need to kill them. You need to just get over that right now.
Although what's funny is a lot of people were complaining that, well, what does this really have to do with the rest of the DC universe? Mm-hmm. And to a sense, I agree. Although I found it funny in, I believe it was Detective Comics or one of the other Batman titles. He offhandedly mentioned, I should probably go back and deal with that whole vampire thing. Wait a second, you don't need to bring that up just because you're in it. I think we understand. You got a lot on your plate, man. You can not deal with it.
It's like, there's vampires here too. Man.
I have to deal with baths. Blood baths.
There's no context for that, unfortunately, in here. Which we can...
Yeah. David Caruso is now Batman. We can assume, at least for Detective.
Maybe we should explain to people why David Caruso is Batman. What?
Okay, well, for those of you who don't read Detective Comics, and even for those for who you do, Batman Detective Comics, around issue 4 or 5, after the first Dollmaker thing ended, and he started going after Penguin, the writing by Tony Daniel has gone from mediocre to David Caruso from CSI Miami one-liner bad, in the sense that in one of the first issues of that arc, he walks upon a bath with a dead body in it and it's full of blood, and he goes, looks like this was a bath, a blood bath. And it consistently gets worse, almost to the point where they're in the Iceberg Lounge and I'm waiting for him to say, "Ice to see you." He doesn't say it, but you're waiting for that to happen.
Because he's not Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze, that's the only reason he didn't say it.
Yeah, but it's almost to the point where with the level, it almost seems like they want to make it the more silly book, but they're so dead serious the whole time that it doesn't come off as anything but bad writing.